Are you at war with yourself? Do you say really mean and hateful things as a way to punish yourself? Or do you say really critical or maybe judgmental things as a way of motivating yourself? Well, if that sounds like you, trust me, you are not alone. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in today's video is negative self-talk. Hi, I'm Laura Albers. I am the Clear Your Plate coach. I'm a mental health therapist, a master certified wellness coach with the International Association of Wellness Professionals, and owner of Albers Mind and Body Wellness. And in today's video, I want to talk a little bit more about what negative self-talk, not necessarily what it is, because I think we all know what it is. And I'm guessing that you're watching this video because you do this. So many of us, I know I've been there for sure before myself. So many of us do this and really struggle with all the criticism and negative self-talk that we have towards ourselves. But let's talk a little bit about how it actually works, or spoiler alert, doesn't work, what it sort of does to your body. And then I want to share 4 strategies that you can use to begin shifting your negative self-talk or your inner critic. So instead of it being your inner critic, we really want it to be your inner coach. So we want it to be more of this guiding, encouraging, sort of motivating force that you can use to really be a source of, compassion and inspiration and all of that for yourself. So let's get started. When we think about negative self-talk, a lot of this actually developed in childhood. Some of us may have had parents that were very, critical or harsh with us. Or even if they weren't, it might have been that they, would scold us or punish us when we did something wrong, or, in effort to keep us safe, in effort to help us learn and grow and, hopefully become productive adults. So there was sort of a purpose to it. But often we've carried on that, need for ourselves to kind of punish ourselves. So essentially we sort of carried that on. We sort of, took up where our parents left off. And so often that's why we're using this negative self-talk in our minds, is because it's a way to kind of like, we feel like punish us, maybe as our parents did in a way, to doing the right thing, or to doing better, or to, do that healthy habit, or whatever the case may be. So we often just tend to carry on whatever we sort of grew up doing or learning or hearing or, saying to ourselves as a child. The good news with this is that, as a child, we didn't have a lot of choice. We didn't really know better. We didn't really have the skills. And if we did have a caregiver or, a coach or a teacher or friends, like if we were bullied, so really not friends, but maybe classmates that were bullying us, if that happened, it's kind of having some compassion for yourself to say, okay, I did the best that I could sort of growing up, but as an adult, now that you're an adult, you have a choice. So you have the choice and you can choose to have a different relationship with yourself now. And that's what I'm hoping, for you. And I'm hoping that's why you chose to watch this video, is because you're wanting a different relationship with yourself now. And so one of the things that we know about negative self-talk is that we think it works because we think it keeps us, in line or whips us into shape. But research actually shows the opposite is true. So research actually shows that it increases our cortisol level, which is kind of like our stress response. So it actually creates more stress within our body, and subconsciously we tend to kind of shut down. So it really doesn't work. So it's important just to kind of recognize that. But the other thing that it can also do is if we're really negative to ourselves, especially over time, that can lead to things like anxiety and depression. And it can even lead to physical symptoms. Like it can create, insomnia, or even aches, like body pains, aches and pains. It can lead to headaches, and it can lead to panic attacks. So it really doesn't work. And so what I want to share with you now is really 4 steps to begin to shift your inner critic to become your inner coach. All right, so step number 1 is to understand that negative self-talk doesn't work. So this is kind of what I've been talking about. But I want you to think about it in this way too. I don't know about you, but I read a lot of self-improvement or self-help books. I love them. And I can tell you that I have never read a book, a self-help or self-improvement book, that said how to hate yourself to winning at life, Or I've never read a book that was entitled like How to Call Yourself a Loser and Feel Great Every Day. Like those books don't exist, right? And for good reason, because it doesn't work. And I also think about, children's sports games. So if you've ever been to, I'm sure you have, if you've got children, or if maybe you've been to nieces and nephews, or maybe your friends' kids, ball games, there's those parents out there, and maybe you're one of them, and if so, no judgment. But there's those parents out there that, scream and yell at their kids, get the ball, or what are you doing, or, all kinds of different things. And really, truthfully, what the kids actually remember is the screaming and the yelling. That's all they really hear. So they're not getting the lesson or the skill that you're trying desperately to like impart upon them. They're just remembering the screaming and the yelling. And I know when I've been at sports games before and I've heard other parents screaming and yelling, like I feel uncomfortable. So imagine me as an adult feeling, kind of uncomfortable, or it kind of raises my own cortisol level. Think about what that does for children. So again, it doesn't work being overly like harsh and critical and loud and negative to yourself either. All right, step number 2 is to really set realistic expectations and just to realize that nobody is perfect and you're not either. So often we're so hard on ourselves because we have these really unrealistically high expectations. Like we expect everything that we do to be perfect. We have to look perfect, sound perfect, be perfect, do perfect. And that's just not possible. It's not possible. It's not maintainable. And quite frankly, it's not necessary. So many things in our lives, so many tasks, we can adopt sort of a done is better than perfect mentality, and we'd be far better off because we don't have this like I've got to be perfect all the time. That really sets us up for frustration and disappointment and failure. And so we're going to be more hard on ourselves if our expectations are unrealistic or super, super high and unachievable. All right, so that's step number 2. Step number 3 is to replace negative, critical talk with neutral, more fact-based talk. So notice I didn't say replace negative talk with positive talk. Now, if you're doing that already, if you're replacing your negative self-talk with something that's more positive and that works for you, like great, keep doing that. But for most of us, that does not work. And it's because it doesn't feel real. Like it feels fake, it feels false, it feels like too much of a stretch, and it may even feel like a flat out lie. And so we really can't buy into it. But if instead you can use more like neutral based phrases or words, or look for the evidence, so using fact-based words, then you're much more likely to sort of believe that and buy into that and for that to work for you. So for an example, let's say that you go out for a job interview and you don't get the job. Instead of saying something like, oh my gosh, I'm such a loser. Of course I didn't get that job. Nothing ever works out for me, right? That would be pretty negative, right? And it's also that all or nothing, that black or white thinking when you say nothing ever works out for me. So instead we want to kind of flip that script into something more neutral as well as more fact-based. So something you could say instead might be, I'm really disappointed I didn't get that job. And so of course it makes sense that I'm upset about this. Like it's natural to feel that way. But I've gotten other jobs in the past. I'll get more jobs in the future, or I'll get another job in the future. And maybe what I want to do then is brush up on my interviewing skills so I feel even more confident the next time. So notice what I did there was acknowledge my feelings, whatever they might be, because that's really important to do. I also kind of challenged a bit of that I got out of that all or nothing thinking. I've gotten jobs in the past, I'll get another job in the future, instead of that like nothing ever works out for me in the previous example. And then lastly, I used an action-oriented approach. So I said, okay, maybe I'll brush up on my interview skills so that I'm even more prepared the next time. And so if you can use that formula really with your own negative self-talk, it can start to become more neutral and more helpful for you. It keeps you from being stuck and puts you more into that action or empowered position. All right, so that's step number 3. And then lastly, step number 4 is to aim for self-correction or self-improvement instead of self-criticism. And so this goes a little bit along with what I was just saying about what happens like when we get into really negative self-talk is we stay stuck. We beat ourselves up and it kind of like ends there. Like it doesn't allow us to learn and to grow and to improve for the next time. And so we want to continually be in that position or set ourselves up to continue to learn and grow. And so again, following that formula I just mentioned in the last step of acknowledging your feelings and searching for the evidence, and then using some kind of action-oriented language at the end, that can really help you to stay in that zone where you can improve and you can learn and you can keep growing. So I hope those tips really help you and help you to shift your inner critic to become your inner coach that really will support you and guide you and motivate you to be really the best version of yourself. So thank you so much for watching. For more tips and videos on self-care, check out my website. It's www.alberswellness.com. And I've got some free wellness videos that you can check out, as well as my 7-day self-care challenge via email that you can get signed up for. And also, if you're interested, check out the links below for more information. You can get a free wellness kit. If you've ever thought about, having like maybe switching careers and having a career that you absolutely love and feel passionate about and, has flexibility and things like that, you can become a wellness coach as I did. So if you're interested in that, get your free wellness kit by clicking on the links below. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you soon in the next video. Bye for now.